Hey folks, so someone asked me recently when I thought I might ride with the Karoo without backup, and I guess today's the day. It's a little late at night, or late in the afternoon, sorry, 5:30 my time. We have about an hour or so of daylight left, but we're going to give this a go. I'd set this up. This is obviously not monitoring or recording directly, but I did set up the new heart rate zone, and I set up the grade, although I don't think I'm going to be doing enough climbing to make this really worth anything. So this is just the page setup, the data screen setup. I'm going to go back here. I need to double check. Yep, I have Bluetooth off, so that's bad. I have location off, so that's bad. Let's see how quickly. So I did discover a little trick, and maybe this is helpful for somebody. But if you're worried that you're not getting map data, one thing to do is to choose this add map option. And you can sort of see here, nothing's coming up. And I don't know if it's still acquiring satellites at this point. So what I do is I just keep bashing this button. Now I have a map. So I'm pretty sure I have that connection. So I'm not going to ride a route today. I'm just going to ride. I'm not going to try to do anything fancy with routes or anything, because I don't know where I'm going. It's all a matter of daylight. The sun just popped out again, so that's kind of nice. So I guess off we go. I don't know how interesting the end of ride data is going to be, because there's nothing to compare it to. But we'll see how it goes. If the numbers all look good, I may throw something up quickly. Otherwise, you may never see this video. Thanks for watching. Bye. Hi folks. So I think generally what we have to report here when Karoo is by itself is good news, although I did have one problem, and it started at the very beginning of the ride, and I didn't check it or correct it, or not sure. Anyways, I pulled out my phone at the end of the ride to see, because as you can probably see, that third field down is the heart rate, and it's not displaying anything. I've had this problem before with the ticker, rarely, where it seems to lose, it just doesn't get picked up. So I'm not really blaming the Karoo at this point, although I am, I guess, a little disappointed that I'm not going to get heart rate on this ride. But everything else looks accurate. Well, the other thing that's a disappointment, hang on, I'm going to pause for a sec. Okay, so I put the phone away so I wouldn't drop it, so I can scroll through the pictures. But generally, this is good news. I think heart rate, annoyingly, just slightly under 200 normalized, but that felt about right for the ride. I'm assuming the distance is correct. The bummer is that I was hoping to show you this screen, but because either the Karoo didn't talk to the ticker or the ticker didn't talk to the Karoo, I have no way to know for sure. I can't show you that, so I guess I'll have to try it next time. This is, right now at least, bordering on useless as far as I'm concerned. There's a huge delay. This is the current gradient, if you can't read it. And I don't live in a very hilly area, so, you know, this is neither here nor there for me. I just put it on there because it's a new field, and I thought I would show it until I get some sort of contraption to potentially mount the GoPro to me. This is the best I can do for now to show you. But this was bouncing all over the place. I intentionally took a very slow, not a very long climb, but I know it's a climb coming back to my house. And this was bouncing all over the place between, and it's a very steady gradient as far as I'm concerned. I haven't ever particularly looked at it on a map, but just by feel, you know, to the untrained cyclist, it's you know, a 2/3 of a mile, or not, sorry, maybe 2 or 3/10 of a mile, but it is steadily uphill. This was bouncing between 0, 4, 7, 4, 3, 0, 7. It was all over the place. I'm interested to see maybe what the device recorded, so I'll have a look at that, and if there's something interesting there, I'll show it. But the rest of this stuff, the map looks like it worked, so hopefully it recorded. Obviously the heart rate zone is displaying nothing because it's not sensing a heart rate monitor for some reason. I forgot to set the elevation, which is maybe affecting that gradient. I'm obviously not 152 feet below sea level. In fact, I'm about 155 or 160 feet above sea level. So, and it didn't. It's not displaying any of these things, min, max. So I'm not sure what that's all about. The rest of this looks pretty good. So I'm gonna hit the record button, the pause button. Sorry, I'm trying to see the GoPro screen. We'll save. We'll save. We'll need to turn on Wi-Fi. We will upload. Whoop. Oh God, I think I hit that right. Anyways, the ride is saved, so if nothing else, I can do it again. Or I'm assuming the ride is saved. There's the Hammerhead logo, and it says it was uploaded successfully. So if there's anything interesting to show, we will go through the data quickly. I did actually put my watch on about halfway through the ride because I was curious about whether the Garmin watch would actually broadcast heart rate to the Karoo. I tried this once before and it didn't seem to want to work. And it also didn't seem to want to work this time, so I don't know if that's a Garmin problem or a Karoo problem. I was almost positive that this watch could broadcast heart rate, but I could be wrong. So maybe there's something interesting to show. I'm going to try to sync up the last half of the watch with the Karoo ride and see what the differences are, but where the only thing I'd really have to show for that would be potentially speed. So probably not going to be that interesting, but we'll see what happens. Thanks. Oh, hi folks. Sorry, there's something weird on the screen there for a second. Next day, I think I'm going to squish these kind of videos at the beginning, and then we'll just go inside quickly and review the two data files. I'm not sure how interesting that's going to be because there's really nothing to compare to. So, but we'll see what we get. So I did want to show this briefly because this is the chart. It was supposed to work yesterday. I have to chalk that up to either user error or just a little communication problem between the heart rate monitor and the Karoo, and I'm not sure who was at fault. The phone did see the heart rate monitor, but there really weren't any lights or anything flashing on it, so I'm probably going to blame the heart rate monitor because otherwise I'm looking like I'm bashing something. So I'm having trouble actually reading this myself, but it looks like about 5% of the time in zone 1, 36% of the time in zone 2, 56% in zone 3, and then little slivers in zone 4 and 5. I guess by perceived effort it kind of felt a little harder than that, and my average speed was actually pretty decent. But you know, it's probably correct, so we'll just go with that. Everything else looks like it's okay. I'm going to turn on Wi-Fi quickly. And these things are still not displaying the min, max, and average elevation, so I'm not sure what's up with that. These aren't going to show anything. Not sure if that TSS score is correct. It might be. That would indicate a harder ride than the heart rate was showing, but map looks good from what I can see of it. I can zoom in a little here. I have to unlock it, I guess, to drag it around. Yeah, there it goes. So it looks correct. I think I better lock it again and that's it. We're gonna pause before I lose too much more average speed. Save it. Upload it. Again, just while this is uploading, you know, no Garmin here, so we're trying it again. Does look like I got it, yep, so successful upload. So we'll head inside and see what this looks like. Thanks, bye. Hi folks, so I didn't think there was going to be anything interesting to talk about with these two rides, but I did discover something. So this is, let's see, this is the ride. Well, this is curious now. Oh, that's the Garmin, excuse me. Okay, so this is the ride from Wednesday, April 11th. It says so right at the top. And everything here looks fine. Zones, everything, power, average power, X power, all these things that it displays, and it does look a little different on the screen because I'm not in the compare mode, because there's nothing to compare. I did record part of the ride on Wednesday on the Garmin, and that was because I was having issues, or I'm sorry, not the Garmin, my Garmin watch. So because I was having issues with the Karoo picking up the heart rate monitor, or the heart rate monitor not broadcasting correctly. Not really sure, I've explained this a couple of times. So there's really not a lot to talk about here. The data generally looks good. Power curves, these look different now because it's a single ride and not a comparison ride, so it gives you zones and things like that. This chart looks also kind of weird and different, so I'm not kind of exactly sure how to discuss this data because it looks so weird. So anyways, I got out of work a little bit early today, went for another ride, so there's the ride here from April 12th. And this is where it gets sort of interesting. So the video that I showed, and I went back and I took a screenshot of this because I was thinking this is what I saw, and it's a little blurry because for some reason the GoPro is focusing on the ground, but most of this is readable. So it looks like 4.7%, 36%, 56%, and then there's 1% in zone 4 and 0% in zone 5. Which this may very well be accurate. I wasn't pushing particularly hard tonight, but I did feel like I must have been in here. So I think I'm going to let that sit there, and I'm going to, well, I guess I don't need to close it. I've got too many things open here, so I'm having a little bit of a struggle. So this is the zone chart for that exact same ride in Training Peaks, and clearly there's time in zone 4 and a lot more time, and I think I said that as I got off the bike, excuse me, and recorded that I felt like maybe that zone 4 bar was not correct because I wasn't going really hard, but I should have been in zone 4 for a while, and this is saying I was in zone 4 for 24 minutes, 25, so it's pretty consistent, 24, 25, 27 between 4, 3, and 2, and then a little bit probably warming up in various points down in zone 1. I guess the confusing part is it seems that this is set differently in everything I have. Garmin seems to be set slightly differently than Training Peaks, or they use different zones. I'm not seeing the same zone chart, or I can't find it in Garmin. So I'm not sure if it's able to display that somewhere, but I'm not seeing it. You can pop out the heart rate chart, but I don't think. No, there isn't really a way. I've looked at this for a while before I started recording, so if I sound confused, it's because I still am. So Garmin is sort of showing one thing, Training Peaks is showing another. You're going to hear me click the Karoo on, and the Karoo is now showing a different, so I have no way to prove this because I really don't want to take pictures of the Karoo at this point. But I did just adjust or check that I have the maximum heart rate, which I have set at 185 in the Karoo, and now it's showing different zones. So it's showing zone 5 starting at 175 and zone 4 showing at 157. And that's not what it was showing on the screen, and I'm sure that I was in. And then this is showing, yeah, this is very similar. Zone 4 is 159 to 169, so those are close. But I think when I just changed the Karoo sitting at my desktop, all the numbers changed. There's an auto calculation option. You put in your max heart rate and your resting heart rate, and it auto calculates. And I don't know if it had bad numbers. I had to sign out and sign back into my account a few days ago because they did something with one of the updates that caused the routes not to sync unless you signed out and back in again, which I did. So all in all, this is a little confusing to me. But I guess the good news is I've ridden twice now with just the Karoo. Everything looks fine, and this is something I think we talked about in one or two previous videos. You know, there was a question about, well, how do you know your Garmin is accurate? And the answer is basically that I don't. It's something that I've had for 3 years. It seems fairly accurate, so that's what I went with, and that's what I have for basis of comparison. But you can see here even this heart rate zone area. So this is Golden Cheetah now. I think I have this set the same way, although it's showing a threshold heart rate of 170, but I'm positive that I just checked this. In fact, I know I just checked it because it made me, I double checked, made sure I had my max heart rate set at 185, and it forced me to leave Golden Cheetah and come back in, I think, so that it could recalculate this. And then this is showing, this is actually about the same time, and I think the 159, I think I just mentioned that number, that seems the same, but these zones are different. So there was about 25 or 26 minutes in each on some of the other charts. Not that one. This one. Yeah, 159 to 169. What does this one say? 159 to 178. So that's weird. They appear to all be using different methods to calculate heart rate zone, which is really confusing. But I think the Karoo's was kind of not giving me credit for enough, or maybe I just need to ride again with the new settings. But all in all, the rest of this looks good. You can't really see any dropouts. I guess you can sort of see the dropouts in the cadence here. This is a little more, slightly more interesting. And these little highlighted areas are, I hit the lap button a couple of times. So the spikes actually look less noticeable here, and I'm sure that's just when I was going downhill and coasting. But overall, the on screen and in here, everything looks very smooth. This is probably, well, I think you'll see in the videos that I've stitched in, I stopped a couple of times to take some kind of just local scenery. I don't actually know what this big chunk here is. It may be when I was actually just stopped in the driveway. I did hit pause a couple of times too when I knew I was going to be pausing for a longer period, so that may explain some of these dips and drops. But overall, the data looks good. Again, nothing to compare it to, but in general, oh, so this is going to be a different, oh no, that's not a chart. Well, that's kind of a bummer. I was hoping this would be a zone chart. This is just time in minutes at different heart rates. So I'm a little confused because this looks different when you're not doing comparison between two recordings. Just clicking around here to see if anything else shows up. But anyways, again, good news for the Karoo. 2 rides in a row without backup, really. I mean, I did use my watch, but I don't have a way to compare that because the watch ride started about halfway through the Karoo ride. So I wasn't able to kind of time shift the watch over top of the Karoo. I tried a couple of different ways, and it really wasn't working in a way that made displaying anything interesting. So I guess the bottom line is good news. I don't know if this is accurate, but then again, I don't know if my Garmin is accurate. So I may intersperse some Garmin and some Karoo together rides, but I think until it makes me think otherwise, I'll probably just leave the Karoo on the bike for a while. I may put the Garmin on another bike and ride that occasionally.
mostly due to the fact that I don't have mounts that are long enough to mount the Karoo other than the one that it came with, and it's a pain to move those around. So this ended up being a lot longer than I thought it was going to be, but I thought some of those charts and maybe seeing the display in Garmin versus Training Peaks versus some other tools might sort of be interesting. If anybody happens to know why I'm seeing such weird variations in the heart rate zones, I would love that information, so put it in the comments, or that's probably the best way to do it. Anyways, if you've gotten this far, thank you for watching.